Hi everyone. Crazy tough times at the moment. Self-isolation, disruption to everything we're doing. You know it's got bad in England when they've had to shut the pubs. It's even happened to my local, the Oaks, and the Globe, and the Sandpiper, and the Nelson, and the Ship, and the Rising Sun, and the Bear. We've heard about this fantastic new idea out of Japan. On-nomi means online drinking. Friends getting together, sharing a drink virtually when they couldn't share one together. So we've invited some of our friends, some of our PH ambassadors, some of the people we work with to have a chat and tell us how they're getting on in this crisis. Hello everyone. It's Andy Blow here from Precision Hydration with another edition of on-nomi, which is our online drinks during these strange and tumultuous times that we're in. Today, I'm connected via the internet by someone who's literally only down the road from us. It's Ben MacWilliam, who is one of the directors and owners of Maverick Races, a series of trail running events with whom we've been partnered for at least the last 3 years. So Ben, how are you doing on this lovely sunny Dorset day?
Yes, I'm very well, thank you. How are you?
Good, thanks, mate. I've got a cup of tea on the go because we're early in the afternoon. It's a bit early for any of the hard stuff. Have you got anything more interesting?
Well, actually, I'm sampling this new Jimmy's Coffee Cola, which is
very good.
Actually, quite refreshing.
Yeah, another good Dorset brand.
Another nice local brand. Yeah, just around the corner from you guys.
Definitely, yeah. So we first actually started corresponding because we were businesses local to one another. So for anyone who doesn't know, tell us a little bit about your background and Maverick Races and how it all started.
I guess so. I came from an eventing background, but more within the cycling sector. Yeah. But kind of started falling out of love with bikes and riding, and this is at a time when sort of road cycling was very much in its ascendancy. I started running a lot more. I've kind of always run since I was at school, cross country at school. And it just kind of felt like trail running particularly, which was very much a growing industry, wasn't really being that well represented in terms of the event side of stuff. It kind of seemed to be a bit behind cycling, maybe 10 years behind cycling. And was from an event point of view, was very much driven by club runs, and club events. So kind of took our experience in eventing and transitioned that across to something which we were much more interested in at the time, which was trail running. So it kind of went from there, and we had a really good start to year 5, and then this happened.
Yeah, exactly. And I was reading an interesting article a few weeks ago now, which broke lots of different industries down by sector and said, which industries and which sectors have been hit hardest by the COVID-19 pandemic. Number 1 was airlines, and number 2 was the events industry. Yeah. And clearly, what has that meant for you? Just to explain, can you explain in broad terms, like the economics of how your business model works, from an eventing perspective?
Yes, I mean, we're commercially 100% driven by event sign up. So, when we can't deliver events, we can't generate any revenue at all. So, it's super tough. Since we went into lockdown, we've so far now postponed 6 events. That's likely to extend to 8 before we can start eventing or even start to think about delivering events. Obviously, we don't know when that's going to happen. So 8 may well turn into a lot more, and it's it's super tough. But we're in a fairly good place in terms of our runner base. We've got a really, really, really loyal runner base who have been super supportive throughout this time. The risk for us was obviously, as an industry, we have a lot of upfront costs at the start of the year. Costs that we incur really early on before we start selling any tickets. Those costs we can't avoid. We're committed to those. We've had those. We've done those. So what we just need to do is try and minimise the amount of refunds that we issue.
Yeah.
So we're giving people as much option as possible so that they stay with us.
Yeah.
And yeah, so far, people have been great. So that's been a massive help.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that because I think there's been a lot of backlash against the events industry to a degree. Some of it actually rightly, some of it wrongly, where people have been very demanding of getting refunds and stuff, often when they don't necessarily fully understand the economics of how these things work, and the fact that you don't just basically pocket all of that money if you don't put the event on. There's a huge amount of cost that's outlaid anyway. But also a bit of a misconception that I've heard people rumbling about is kind of insurance. Oh, well, surely they're insured against this kind of thing and that's just going to pay out. I mean, what is the event organizer's perspective on that?
I think the difficulty is when we went into this, there was no government guideline in terms of not being able to run events. And we're talking about really early on, like the first event that we cancelled off our own back as a duty of care to our runners. And obviously in that instance, we're not covered at all. So, that's kind of a decision that we and a lot of other event organisers took off our own backs without kind of being forced to close like pubs. So yeah, I mean that was in a way we kind of fall through the cracks a little bit. Yeah.
And would you have or have you got any insurance cover that takes care of any of your costs for this sort of thing?
No.
And that's a common thing that I'm hearing talking to other people in events, is that there are policies which cancel which cover more usual types of cancellation or issues, but this is often this kind of thing, which is makes it very, very difficult.
It was obviously one of the first things we inquired about, and like you say, like a lot of other people, we weren't covered for this, so we kind of just we're having to do what we can really to mitigate those refunds.
Yeah, and in terms of that, you've mentioned transferring people and maybe backloading the event calendar towards the end of the year. Is that your primary focus at the moment?
Yeah, so the first thing we did was identify the events that we were going to cancel. We did it in a two-phased approach. So we phase one was everything up to May, and then phase two was everything up to July. So we kind of mobilised ourselves straight away to get on to the opportunity we would automatically transfer everyone to the new date this year. But give them the option to transfer to the same event in 21 or another event this year or another event next year, where we had secured dates. So, we kind of did everything we could. And it has actually put us in quite a good place in terms of our planning for 2021, which is, a good thing. We should hopefully be able to go live with our calendar much earlier than we normally can. That's, and people are still asking, we are still getting people asking for refunds, but at the moment we're luckily only running on about a 2% refund rate, which is amazing.
Yeah, very, very good. Shows the strength of the community behind your event specifically. And that was going to be one of my other questions is I've seen on social media and through our communication that you've obviously been putting these virtual runs on and doing other things to keep your community engaged. And even though those virtual runs are not revenue generating for you, they give your participants something to get involved with and keep the brand at the forefront of people's minds. So how well are they going? Are they getting a lot of sign-ups?
Yeah, they're really good actually. We had around 1,500 sign-ups in the weekend that we launched, which was great. I mean, we did VR because we needed to do something, but we didn't want it to be a revenue stream. We kind of wanted it to be something that we could offer people, something just to drive people to, even if it's just that little final push to get out and do that run. If our virtual run was a mechanic for that, then that's kind of what we wanted. I think the difficulty with trying to put on a virtual race as a replacement for one of our actual races is that the trail running is very driven by where you're running. And unfortunately you just can't replicate that in a virtual run when we can't really exercise for more than an hour and we have to go from our front doors. So by the very nature, most people are pounding tarmac at this moment. So it's the sign up's been great, and it's it's got great continued engagement on on social media, and we've been able to diversify and do a kids VR as well, which has also had a great uptake. So yeah, it's been really good, and we're trying to think of new things that we can do to kind of keep it interesting. We did something over Easter weekend, and we may have something in the pipeline for this Sunday, because it's a big day in the racing calendar.
It is, yeah.
It's, or should have been a big day in the racing calendar.
Yeah, yep. London. We'd have
indeed.
We'd have been there at the expo actually ourselves. Yeah. Had it been on. Yeah. And with people that, if anyone wants to get involved in your virtual runs, I believe that the adult ones are over 5, 10 or 15k.
That's right. Yeah.
And is your website the best place to hit for the kind of the nitty gritty on how to sign up?
Yeah, if they go to the website and hit events, it will be the first. It sits at the top of the events calendar, and it will remain to sit there until we kind of come out of this situation that we're in. So yeah, super easy, and you'll just click through from there, and it's really easy. You can go for a run and then retrospectively go through and sign up that way.
Awesome.
You don't have to do it first.
Yeah, good. I know a few of the guys in the office have been doing those, and I intend. I've been getting my secret training in, so I might sign up for one in the next week or two.
It is interesting because they're on for a week. I think a lot of people are being kind of tactical and running it in the very last day that they can, once everyone else has put their results in.
Yeah,
but we're not rewarding winners. We're just spot pricing. So it's not really about speed for us. It's just about getting out there and doing it in a responsible way.
Definitely, and I think it's great because it then gives you that other, like you said, that push to get out the door. Because at the moment, I'm genuinely really enjoying my own running at the moment. It's a bit of an outlet, but at the same time, there is the odd day when I'm a bit like feeling a bit flat, because I have to say that I tip my hat to how positive you're being, because our industry and our business is being hit incredibly hard by this, but we're not. We're one step further away from what you're doing with events and that sort of. Everything zeroing out, so just having that extra mental, when you have a bad day, having that extra, I'm going to sign up and commit to this is really helpful, I think.
Yeah, no, definitely, and that is kind of what we decided to. That's why we did it. It's not for any other reason, really. I know a lot of other people are charging for their VRs, but it doesn't feel a good enough replacement from what we normally offer to do that. So
yeah. And I also saw another thing that you did very proactively and quickly was your T-shirt campaign. So what was that? How did that work? And is that still running?
Yeah, that's still running. Still ticking away. So for those that know or don't know, our kind of company slogan is "The Outdoors Awaits." And one of the girls that helps us and runs with us quite a lot actually hashtagged us in a social post, "The Outdoors Will Wait." We're like, wow, that's great. It works so well. So we kind of adopted that hashtag right at the early on in the lockdown phase, and just thought, we could put this on a T-shirt, and I think people will buy it. And then we thought, well, should we go one better? We could put it on a T-shirt, and then we could, all profits go to an NHS charity. So luckily, we have a contact. They're printed locally in Wimborne by a guy that does all of our apparel bits. So we're able to turn it around really quickly. And they've just they've done incredibly well. Raised just over £7,000 to date. Yeah. So yeah, it's been great. It's been really nice for people to take delivery of them and put them on, and then they've been tagging us on social, and it's just another sort of engagement point for people and us, and and it makes people are doing something to support our frontline workers out there, which is great. So yeah, that's continuing to run.
And I know that you're obviously doing a lot of these great positive things, and you are obviously being very proactive about looking after the runners and your staff and looking ahead to next year. Yeah. And I don't want to take this down a sort of like a dark and depressing route. But what is the reality for you and Justin? Your co-director of the business at the moment. Like how tough is it? How are you finding it?
Yeah, it was really hard when we first started cancelling events, and we've never cancelled an event for any reason. So it felt really weird on the 21st of March when we should have been in Buckinghamshire delivering an event. We were sat in front of the computer on a Zoom call with the rest of the team, thinking, "Oh my God." Yeah. I think as time's gone on, we've sat there and and kind of worked out the blackest picture possible, 100% refund rate, other operating costs that we've got going on in the business that just don't disappear. How long have we got? Like, how long can we ride this out for? And we've got, like everyone else, we've got a certain amount of time before there basically is nothing left. But we're remaining positive, and by doing as much as we can do to give runners alternatives to refunds, it's extending our burn rate. So hopefully we should be able to go for longer than than we thought initially. So
no, I think that's a really worthy exercise. I talked to a completely different company, but I talked to a friend of mine, Paul Newsom, who runs Swim Smooth a couple of weeks ago, and he went through exactly that same exercise. And I've got to be honest, I sort of basically did the same thing as well. The first initial reaction is very emotional, and you just get stressed about it. But then sooner or later, you have to pull out a spreadsheet and you have to work out your worst case scenario and how long your runway is, and then what action can you take to extend that runway whilst also being mindful of the fact that you are still going to have to employ people and pay people and look after them and be gracious to your customers. We're in a slightly different position, obviously, because the majority of our income comes in at the point people purchase rather than for a future dated event. So refunds are less of an issue for us, but obviously just a simple drying up of income is what we're facing. But once I'd gone through that exercise, it does allow you that breathing space to go, well, I kind of know what that runway is, and I know what tasks I then can break down to increase the runway potentially. And then I found that for the last 2-3 weeks I've been buried in those tasks, just getting them done to get a bit further, and that's actually been quite productive. And as we can see behind you, we've been incredibly fortunate, haven't we, in Dorset for the last 2-3 weeks that we've had fantastic sunshine, which in and of itself has helped to lift the mood and get a bit of time outdoors. It's been good.
I mean, definitely. The weather's massively helping, not only for us but also for everyone, and it's helping people get outside and get their their fix of fresh air. And I guess you've got to take the positives from any situation. It has enabled us to look at things that we wouldn't ordinarily have looked at this early in the season for next year, or it's also giving us an early drop on some of the other things that we had in the pipeline, which were kind of backseat things. We've been able to bring the schedule on those forward and start looking at those now. So we're continuing as if we'll come out the other side of this. We can't do anything other than that, and just put ourselves basically in the best possible place we can be for when we can start returning to normality.
I think, and I know that a lot of people have said this to you, but the appetite for racing is going to be high when this finishes, and that's going to be great for everyone. It's going to be great for us. It'll be great for you guys. It'll be great for us as participants as well. And do you feel that because this is my perception, but is there a small ace up your sleeve in that you're a sort of one of the bigger of the small event operators, if that makes sense, with a quite a wide range of events, that you'll be a bit more able to react quickly than, say, putting on the London Marathon again or putting on some of these big city events? There's a lot of considerations with bringing that many people together. But bringing 300 people together for a trail run in a rural area sort of feels to me like it might be one of the more sensible first steps.
We're kind of that mindset. I think when you look at any of the big marathons that have gone, it seems ambitious for any of those really to go on this year. We're hoping as the easing of the restrictions comes into play, there'll be guidelines this time coming out of it. There'll be guidelines. There weren't any guidelines coming into it. We can just hope that as they phase us back to normality, we can respond with whatever we need to do, whatever processes we need to put into place, so that we can come back to operating events in some capacity much earlier on. And there's definitely stuff we can do. It just will mean that we lose a little bit of what we're about initially, but I think, like you say, there'll be such a hunger for people to get out and race again and interact with people that I think it doesn't really matter, because I think people know our offering, and if it's slightly different for a period of time, I think that'll be fine, because they'll just be grateful for coming back.
For sure. Do you see doing things like, for example, staggering starts and splitting the field down into smaller numbers, that kind of thing? Is that on your radar?
Yeah, I think the two big things we need to look at is minimising the amount of people in a start pen.
Yeah.
So we'll probably we'll be much more specific with giving bands of people a specific start time, and we may well run a start window of 2 hours.
Yeah.
Whereas normally everyone starts at 10 o'clock, just to minimise the amount of people we have in the start pen, and we may well lose some of the stuff that we have at the event centre to keep people hanging around afterwards, because obviously you can't have them hanging around at the start, but we also can't have them hanging around at the end either. So it kind of goes against the grain around what we're about, which is that kind of whole pre and post event vibe, and the more people the better, that makes that better. But if we're able to start eventing sooner, then obviously those are the things that we'll be changing so that we can.
Yeah, very good. Last two questions for you, more on a personal level, because one, I think you're in the same boat as me as a dad of young kids living and working at home at the moment. How's the old homeschooling, home entertainment thing going?
It's tough. I'm in quite a fortunate place. I've got two kids, 5 and 7. Luckily, my wife was a teacher, is not a teacher anymore, so she kind of takes the lead on the homeschooling thing, and we kind of, because she still has to work as well, so we're doing it in shifts. So she'll take the morning shift, and I'll take the afternoon shift. But the afternoon shift looks a bit more like taking the kids out for a ride on their bikes rather than actually sort of discipline homeschooling. So I get the good end of the deal, definitely. But it's hard. But again, the positive side of that is that I've never spent so much time with the kids, because I'm away so much with work, and obviously they're at school. So it's been really nice to be able to spend that time with them. And I think everyone that in the same position as us has kind of echoed the same thing, really.
100%, yeah. And I'm very, very much the same as you. My wife's still working pretty much full time as well, so we're doing half days and juggling stuff and all the rest of it. And this weather has just made it. My little boy's learned to ride his bike. He's 6 years old, and he hadn't shown a lot of interest in bikes before. And all of a sudden he's gone from 0 to hero in 3 weeks on his bike.
Oh, it's great.
That's been really good, to the point where he's actually come out with me when I've gone for a run on one occasion, and it's been absolutely perfect. So that has been genuinely a good thing. Now, my other question was, we're all trying to keep fit at this time, and obviously falling back on running. Those of us that do run a bit, this is actually really good compared with being, say, an endurance swimmer, which is a nightmare at the moment because you can't do anything decent. But I swim a bit, and I heard you do a bit of CrossFit, and I've got my drill out and put a nice meaty pull-up bar on the side of my house so that I can start to do some upper body work. How many chins do you reckon you could do, and how many should I be aspiring to, going from basically being pretty weedy at it?
Oh, I don't know. If you ask me now, I probably can't do any. I feel like I've lost any strength that I had because I haven't been doing anything. I don't know. I mean, your power to weight ratio should be pretty good, right?
Well, I think the weight's not too high. I don't know about the power though. It's not an impressive number.
Can you do any?
I can actually. I'm doing like sets of 6 or 7 at the moment. A few sets of 6 or 7. So I didn't think it was too bad, but
no, that's fine. I guess as a CrossFitter, I know the CrossFitter would know that we kind of cheat when we're doing pull-ups anyway.
Okay.
So if you're doing them strict, which is obviously the right and the hardest way of doing them.
Yeah.
Whereas we do them slightly differently to that, because then we can do them quickly and for volume. So. But I definitely wouldn't want to tell you how to do it, not being qualified to do so.
No, fair enough. Well, I'm going for my main aim was to get into reps of double digits, and I'm inching towards that at the moment. Although I've been a bit sore under here the last few days, so I've had to have a day off today. Yeah. I had to have a day off.
I'm definitely. I am looking forward to going back, but it'll feel like I'm starting again, and you get DOMs like you've never had them before when you first start doing CrossFit. It's hideous. Yeah,
absolutely. It's really painful for that. Well, Ben, thanks for spending a bit of time with us today, having a chat. We love what you're doing in terms of sort of muscling through all of this. We cannot wait, both individually as runners and also as a company, to get back out at the events as soon as possible. So I would imagine that you'll see a pretty good Precision Hydration office contingent at whichever one does become the first race of the year.
Nice.
And in the meantime, look out for a few. As I know JP's done some already, but look out for a few as popping up on the VR results. I think.
Yeah, we will do. Yeah, definitely.
Good stuff. Well,
cool.
Enjoy the sunshine, mate, and I will hopefully connect with you again soon.
Thanks, Andy.
Bye bye.
Cheers. Bye.